We have a special guest today. We've got Migael Rheeder with Three Creeks Towing. Did I say that? Three Creeks Towing?
Yeah, Three Creeks Towing and Off-Road Recovery.
Three Creeks Towing.
We go kind of by many names, honestly. But yeah, Three Creeks Backcountry is our official DBA. And then we also have an LLC that's actually Sisters Mountain Tours and Off-Road Recovery. Okay. And then our YouTube name is Three Creeks Towing and Off-Road Recovery.
I'll tell you what, it's been fun watching your YouTube videos, especially up here in the Bend area. Like, you've got just this beautiful backdrop. I mean, a lot of people love Bend. And now tell us where you're from originally first.
Originally, I'm from South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's why I have a Land Rover. Man,
yeah,
I grew up in a Land Rover. I grew up in a Land Rover 110 and just traveling across the desert of South Africa and all the other countries. My mom's from Namibia.
Okay.
So we were always between South Africa and Namibia. And yeah, we moved here. I lost my accent. We
I was
moved
just
here.
going to ask you.
Yeah, I wish people love accents, and but especially girls. But I moved here in 1998 when I was like 7 years old, and just grew up on the East Coast. Lived in Rhode Island for a few years. Then me and my then girlfriend, now wife, moved to Arizona, and then from Arizona we moved here about four years ago. And that's kind of how the off-road recovery started, because we were just pulling people out of the snow left and right. And then we pretty much just decided to become like a permanent resource for people. Because we were coming across people that were just spending the nights in their cars and stuff. And like, we were just out there snow wheeling. And like, do you guys need help? They're like, yes.
Get us out of here.
We don't have cell service. And like this one guy, he had a puppy with him, like a puppy and his wife. And we found him just hiking. You know, and we were like, hey, man, do you need some help? He's like, yeah. Like, my wife and my puppy are back at the car, and, like, we're from Hawaii. We don't know snow at all. And, like, that was kind of like the catalyst to, like, maybe we should start an off-road recovery business and, like, be a permanent resource, because I work seasonally for the Forest Service. So in the wintertime, I spent every day just outside in the woods with my dogs, just hanging out and coming across folks that needed help.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, how did you get into it? And I mean, it seems like the Bend area has had a lot of demand. And we were talking to Casey Liddell about this. He said, it's Google, it's tourism.
Yeah, Google Maps for sure.
Google Maps is just awesome for business, because they're just sending people to the middle of nowhere. You know?
I mean, just our past couple recoveries this week have been Google Maps bringing people to Camp Sherman, but taking Jack Lake Road. And, once it's so sketchy, because most of these people that get stuck in the middle of the night, they're trying to get to their destination, they're just following the map, right? And so they just take a left, and before they know it, it's like, no, it's going to get better. And then they're just bottomed out, stuck, and then they realize, like, you can use Google Maps without service, right? And then they try to call somebody, and then it's just a whole world of trouble. And it happens a lot, because a lot of people are coming from the city, going to Bend or seeing Deschutes National Forest. There's a lot of tourism, and Casey's not wrong. There's a huge demand for it, for sure. And Google is definitely, it helps a lot.
So tell us about the vehicles that you're currently running right now.
Well, I have a bunch of vehicles. They're not all running. So I have my number one rig, the one that I love the most. Don't tell the other rigs. It's my Land Rover Defender, and it's kind of
good choice.
It's a Land Rover Defender 90. I bought it 7 years ago, and when I was in Rhode Island, before I had any inkling, of any off-road recovery service, I was in college, and I spent every single penny I had on it. And the reason I got a Defender, it's because I grew up in one. I don't know if you guys drove anything when you were young, or your grandpa had a truck or something
cool,
like that.
Yeah,
like that.
For me, it was just, because I grew up in a Defender that I just I needed a Defender. And so I just saved every single penny I had. And there was a guy that was selling it for, I think, $15,000. I literally have 10 grand. That's all I have. I'm not trying to lowball you, but I will pay you that much for your truck. And he was like, sure. And so I went and I picked it up literally that day, wrote him a check.
You were a college student at the time.
I was a college student, yeah. Yeah, and that was every penny that I had. Like, didn't tell anybody I was doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like if I had called up, you know, my mom or dad, or they would be like, no way, don't do that. That's the stupidest financial decision that you
Right.
can possibly make at this point in your
Well, I
life.
mean, Defenders are super reliable. They're
not expensive
They're
at
not
all.
expensive. They're
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good on fuel mileage.
Actually, they are.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
about
they're not too
with,
bad,
with
yeah.
my 37s, right? I get 25
No
mpgs.
kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not so like they're not that bad. The V8s are bad, but
Yeah.
but the older diesels they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't even pay the registration. I had to get an overnight job while going to school full time just to pay the taxes on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like to say that I have a passion for, you know, Land Rover Defenders is, you know, it's kind of an understatement. You know,
Yeah, it's a cult car. You're
Yeah.
definitely a member,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. I mean, they're incredible. So you say you've got the diesel, the two-door 90.
Yeah.
What else about
You
it?
said a 110, right?
It's a 90. So the
90,
one
and
I
then
grew
you
up
had
in the
You
110.
grew up in the 110.
Yeah, I mean, I ideally I wanted a 110, but they go for more money. And for off-road recovery, actually, 110 is way more storage. But I fell in love with that 90, and it's actually so nice for these trails in the Deschutes National. Like the trails are so tight. We get manzanita that grows in, like you get trees falling over, and so short wheelbase is. It's great. It
was meant to be.
It was meant to be. Man, I love that truck so much. I tell my wife, listen, if I ever die, okay, you can sell the Land Cruiser, you can sell the Unimog. Just don't get rid of that Land Rover. Just keep the Land Rover, you know, it's like, yeah, I love that truck so much, and I do. Yeah, I'm a little over passionate about it, but you kind of have to be,
You do.
you know, because these Land Rovers, like, you know, I know you said they were reliable, but the audience knows they're really not reliable.
They're horrible.
I've been stuck on the side of the road. Like, it was such a huge learning curve when I first got that thing. The clutch went out. So I've been through, let's see here. I've been through 3 transmissions. I'm on my 3rd transmission.
Okay.
I'm on my 2nd transfer case and 2nd engine. And that's like not
In 7
including-
years.
In 7 years. So
7
that's
years.
like not including anything else.
That
Like,
sounds pretty good from what I've heard. Wow. So now you're also running 37-inch Trepidors.
Yes.
Right? As far as snow and performance, you see those a lot in rock crawling.
Yeah.
How are they doing for you in the snow season?
So for anybody out there that wants to, you know, run Trepidors and they think, you know, they look really cool, but to be completely honest, they're really not good in the snow. So for me personally, I tow people out. So like those knobbies, they do give me a little bit of pulling power, but the rubber is so thick that they really don't flex well. And that for snow, you want flex, you want surface area. And honestly, like just a set of big bald tires would probably do better in the snow. They probably float better.
A little bit more flotation on them. I love those tires. I think they're fantastic.
I love them.
To air down to 10 or 8 pounds, you know, and you don't have bead locks right now on that
I do
rig.
not have bead locks. No.
But I'm sure that's on the list.
Nope.
No.
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna put bead locks on it. So I have what we call a poor man's bead lock.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which does describe me pretty well. But so the wheels that I have, they're Wolf wheels. They're standard Land Rover wheels, but they're only, I think the internet's probably gonna roast me for this. They're either 6 inches or 6.5. I don't remember which. So they're super narrow wheels, but I have a really wide tire on it. And so that's kind of what we call a poor man's bead lock. So I don't recommend it. But that's what
it's
I
working,
do.
you know?
It works really well for a weekend warrior rig.
Oh,
So
for
then
sure.
you have your Unimog, right?
I do have the Unimog, yeah. I love that thing. I've never heard it run.
But you love it.
I love it. Well, so I just put 54s on it. Have you guys seen it?
I saw that video.
Yeah,
How
that was like
those
2 days
tires.
ago. I've been waiting 2 years to do that. Like I bought that Unimog 2 years ago and immediately ordered those wheels and had this big build and everything that I wanted to do. And I could talk about that Unimog for a long time because I have spent so much money on it and I've never heard it run even.
And what motor does that have in that?
That has I think the OM352, I believe. Somebody's probably going to correct me. It's not the turbo. It's naturally aspirated diesel. It's a straight 6. Yeah, haven't heard it run yet.
Are you close?
So yes and no. Closest than I've ever been. Because now I'm motivated, right? So if you go to the YouTube page, you can see the Unimog, and I started a whole Unimog playlist where you can kind of follow along. But basically, I was waiting for 2 years for Stasworks to build my wheels. I ordered those wheels like May, I think it was 2021 or 2022. It was 2 years ago. Yeah, and so John at Stasworks, I forget what he said, but he's just been going through a whole bunch of issues with like workers and stuff, and he just could not get that made for 2 years, but he came through. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. I mean, I've just been sitting there, and so so because I've been waiting for those wheels, I didn't know if they were ever gonna come, and I just put the Unimog to the side, and I was like, I just want to. Because I started building the whole bed, right? And I didn't want to dive into all the electronics because I have so many other projects. I said, once the wheels come, I'm going to focus on the Unimog again. And so they just came, and so now it's kind of like all hands on deck for the Unimog. So I don't have many updates, but it's gonna be running real soon.
That's gonna be an awesome recovery rig too. So
yeah.
I assume it's gonna be for the recovery channel and for everything, the heavier duty stuff.
Yes and no.
Or is that the date night car?
So the Unimog is actually gonna be a tour vehicle.
Okay.
So I have a special use permit with the Deschutes National Forest. And that's why I really wanted these wheels, because I've had a permit now for 2 years and it ain't cheap. I got to run insurance. I got to insure the U.S. government on the permit. I have to have all my outfitter guide licenses through the state, and they all have to be up to date throughout the entire process. And I have to be CPR certified, first aid certified. My wife has to be CPR certified, first aid, and so we are keeping up with all of that. So it's like there's a lot on hold right now, so there's a lot of pressure to get the Unimog done for sure. So if you look at the bed, it's like built like a tour vehicle. It's got a whole roll cage, and it's got seating for 9 in the back. Okay. The bed is almost done. Now that we got the wheels, we can build the spare tire carrier with all the right dimensions, because these wheels are going to be like 350, 400 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
They feel like it for sure. So we want to get that spare tire carrier perfect. We don't want the thing sticking far out and leverage. We want it. We want it nice and tight. So that's next. Now I have to just finish the bed, and then it's on to the engine and the electronics.
What sparked that idea for the tour stuff?
So I had that idea before we did off-road recovery. So when we first were talking about the business, that's why our parent company's name is Sisters Mountain Tours and Off-Road Recovery. So that first year we moved here, we just did so much snow wheeling, and I didn't like run tours or anything, but I did do a lot of Land Rover excursions and stuff where, because I'm just on Instagram and say, hey, anybody wants to go out, I'll take you guys out, and we just go all over the place and stuff like that. And I just really enjoyed taking people who would have normally never been out in 10 feet of snow, because we have a lot of snow up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Not this year, but usually you can go right out there and find 10-foot drifts, no problem. And so I really enjoyed bringing people out there, and like we would have snow fires, and at the end of the day, right, it would be a 6-foot hole in the ground just from the fire melting the snow. And so I really liked bringing people out into the woods, and so that kind of sparked the idea with, hey, maybe I can run a sort of tour business out here. And nothing like, have you guys been to Sedona?
No.
Okay. You guys, let's see, I don't know. Have you heard of the Pink Jeep tours in Sedona? Moab has a lot of tours too.
Right.
So something similar to that, but also extremely mindful of like the environment. And if you've ever been to Sedona, because I lived in Arizona, Pink Jeeps are everywhere.
Right.
They're overrun. And so my idea was to do a type of tour like that, but with one rig. Just one rig and one or two tours a day, and don't overrun the mountain. Keep it simple, and just show a small group of people the beauty of the Sisters Wilderness, and yeah, just keep it simple.
I think that'll be fun. And honestly, going on a tour in a Unimog that's an experience all on its own.
Sounds like a blast.
It'll be fun. Now you also have a Land Cruiser too.
Yep. That's it right
A
there.
40, beautiful blue 40.
Yeah, it's actually a total Frankenstein.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it is an FJ40,
Uh-huh.
but it's also an FJ45 wheelbase.
Okay.
I'm on Market. I don't know what you guys are with Marketplace,
Yeah.
but I like live on Marketplace. And right now, I'm not in the market for anything. But for whatever reason, I live on Facebook Marketplace and I live on Craigslist, and I love looking at the trucks for sale.
Yeah.
And I came across this FJ that was for sale in Bakersfield, California. The guy was asking, I think, $8,000 for it, and I really wanted a longer wheelbase. Like, I love FJ40s. It's like, I love the classic, iconic 4x4s. Classic Jeep, and then this FJ40 is another classic, and the Land Rover Defender is another classic. Unimog's a classic. You got old Nissan Patrols that are classics. But yeah, I wanted it, and it was the longer wheelbase. And so what this guy actually did is he took and I don't remember exactly what he did, because he did a lot. It's a Frankenstein of a truck. But he took like 2 wrecked FJs, like the frame, one front end frame was bent, and then and so he just like welded the frames together. But he did a great job, He what's a fish plate and everything. It's all professionally done. And then he chopped the body. Like, you can actually see the body of the FJ is just chopped in half and put it on top.
Well, you got to think too. These 40s, they're getting old.
Yeah.
And so there's fewer of them, and so people are doing everything they can to just keep them alive. Like, you're not going to find one of these
It's an investment opportunity.
Exactly.
That's how you sell it.
Is that how your wife looked at it when you bought it?
Yeah. No, I told her, hey, listen, we can actually. I did tell her that this was going to be the down payment for the house. I was like, oh, it can be the down payment. No,
No, you're keeping it.
I have put it up for sale before, right? So, and this was like last year I put it up for sale, and as soon as I got a message, I deleted the ad. And that's and I wasn't trying to like be a jerk in any way, because I thought that I wanted to sell it, because I have so many rigs and I only have so much time for these projects. But as soon as I got that message, like, hey, I'm really interested, can I come see it? That's when you kind of know, like, you're not ready to sell it or whatever, because immediately I was like, oh, no, I can't do it.
I can't do it anymore.
Can't do it,
Can't do it anymore. Yeah, you and I have the same problem. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to let these trucks go once they get a hold of you, Once you get behind that driver's seat and you're driving the truck that you grew up kind of idolizing, it's tough to let go. Every once in a while you make a bad decision, you're like, no, I'll just sell it, but it's hard, man. It's hard to get rid of these trucks.
So did your experiences where you grew up in Africa, is that what kind of, obviously the Forest Service and all that kind of stuff, but is that what kind of got you to this point where you found like a kind of a passion for it?
Like I said, I grew up in a Defender 110, but I was surrounded by classic 4x4s. So that's definitely where the passion comes from for classic 4x4s. Like, not everybody out in Africa drove a Defender. There's a lot of Land Cruisers, a lot of FJs, a lot of patrols. But there's a lot of patrols in Africa, and just being surrounded by these old 4x4s that you don't see in the United States for whatever reason. I'm not happy about it. But
same here.
Yeah, that just like being a kid and being surrounded by these trucks is kind of like, I don't know, just like. And it's got instilled in me somehow, like I don't know. I just have this drive to just have classic old 4x4s.
Yeah.
My wife's not too happy about it, but
But once it's in your blood, it's there.
No,
it's there forever.
she's accepted my passion and my kind of wacko passion for it. But
At least you're able to turn that kind of into a monetary thing, as far as what you're doing now.
Yeah,
That's fun to see, like a passion actually turn into what you're doing as a job, because
it's a dream
it's
come
kind of
true.
rare, right?
Yeah, it's an absolute dream come true.
For most of the rest of us,
yeah.
it's a money pit. Yeah.
No, it's
That's
like
cool to hear.
finding a way to make this passion make me money is just like it's incredible. Now, it's not a lot of money, but it's making me money, and it's a business, and it's keeping me alive, and I couldn't be happier about working with my truck and like making money with it. And these other old trucks too. I mean, it's pretty cool, for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It reminds me of you me and Alan kind of started talking about vehicles. That's how we became friends.
Yeah.
And we had a lot in common, and we just found ourselves talking about cars and stuff all the time.
We talked a lot about Defenders.
A lot about Defenders, his Land Cruiser, all these different things, and it's cool. We're sitting here and we're talking about, kind of some passions that we have. So congratulations, man. You've been able to do that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Man, aren't cars just like, why? Why do people
You have
love
to have
cars
them,
and
like-
trucks so much? It's the weirdest thing, but it's...
I mean, you spend a lot of time in them. You have to have them. And what I think is awesome about cars, it's transportation. It's about providing, but then there's a personality aspect of it. There's an aspect of independence, and with the way cars are going, it's harder to be independent with newer vehicles, which is very, very scary.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
think. But just to being self-reliant. I've said this before. You hear about bug-out cars. Some of them are. Not all bug-out cars can go off-road, but all off-road cars can bug out. So, and that's. And not just in the prepper aspect of it, but just being able to respond to disaster for yourself or for someone else. And I think, especially depending on where you are. I mean, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, and having four-wheel drive is crucial.
Yeah.
But the further south you get, it's less and less important because you don't have bad roads, you don't have the snow on the ground quite as much, and so, anyways, that's what's been fun is following you on YouTube and just kind of seeing that kindred spirit of off-road independence and all of that it's just been fun to watch you.
Yeah,
And so
appreciate
anyways,
that.
Thanks for coming on the show. This has been a lot of fun chatting with you.
Yeah, and like going back to Africa too, like you're talking about self-reliance and stuff, and like you're in the heart of it. You break down, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So yeah, like you got it on my truck, like breaking down is kind of a familiar process. And so we have to be self-reliant, especially when we're doing these off-road recoveries in areas where there's not cell service. It's just inherently risky. It's, freezing temperatures in the wintertime. And a lot of the time I'm by myself, these guys have now hiked. It's the middle of the night and now they've hiked up a mountain to get service just to call me for help. And so self-reliance, and it's a big deal. So we carry, we just in that truck, we have drive shafts, we have a fuel pump, we have the accessory belts. We have a lot that we can get away with and fix on the trail, but you can only be so self-reliant too.
Right.
And
well, you gotta have the food, you
yeah.
gotta have the fuel, you gotta have the recovery gear, you gotta have everything to be able to get yourself out of
the
trouble.
recovery gear, gotta have it.
Gotta have it. Yeah, I just had to.
It's more important than food, didn't you know that? Food and water. You don't need that
You
stuff.
can't eat these, right?
No, maybe you can.
If you're hungry enough.
You can burn them if you get really cold.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, people definitely have burned their. So we were on a recovery. This was last year. This was up Green Ridge, and this was a pretty wild recovery. We see this a lot. It's kind of a chain reaction where one person gets stuck, and then they call their buddy, and then their buddy comes out, and then they all get stuck. And so for this recovery, it ended up being like a 4-car recovery. But they were out there for like 3 days.
Oh,
and so
it was winter time.
In the wintertime, they burned gas. Like they used gas to start the fire, and like they were just burning whatever they had in the back of their truck, and like because I don't think they had a chainsaw, so like whatever wood they could salvage, I mean, it was with their hands after they got the fire started. And that was I don't think they burned recovery gear, but I don't think
I
they
bet
had
you
any.
they were happy to see you show up there.
They definitely were. That was a brutal day for sure.
Yeah, those are the things that are just scary. You think about what do I need to have, make sure that I'm ready to go, and I think that's the appeal to a lot of these off-road recovery channels like yours, and there's Casey, there's Matt, Rory. It's that that desire to be prepared, ready, that feeling of independence and peace of mind. And so, anyways, but thanks for coming on the show. This has been a riot. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah.
We got to go wheeling sometime. Anyways, thanks again.
Where can people find you at if they're don't know who you are? Where do they go to find you?
Yeah, if you guys don't know who I am, my YouTube channel is Three Creeks Towing and Off-Road Recovery. My website is threecreeksbackcountry.com. They can go there if they want to support my business. You can buy sweatshirts, you can buy koozies, you can buy stickers and t-shirts and stuff. And yeah, YouTube. My personal Instagram is Weekender Defender.
Okay.
And then we have the business, just Three Creeks Backcountry. You guys are welcome to check us out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks for spending some time with us, man. It's been fun.
It's been really cool, yeah.
Well, thanks again. We'll do it again soon.
Sweet. All right.
And that's all.